Welcome to our spoiler discussion of Avengers Infinity War. And here we're going to be talking about more in depth of what we didn't talk about in the regular non-spoiler. And this is going to be quite a lot because this movie covers so much. So, we'll start at the beginning.
18th film?
This is the 18th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and basically, if you've seen if you saw in the first Avengers, we have built up so much to the character of Thanos that we finally get to see him unleash his devastation, and everyone across from Tony Stark, the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, pretty much everyone involved across the universe has to stop him.
It's 10 years in the making.
Yeah, so. This actually started, when the first Iron Man came out, in 2008, nobody expected it to really be a big franchise.
Yeah, and I think it was just trying to make a superhero film.
It was, and basically, well, they planned ahead, but they didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
So, with the first one, they built up so much in the last 10 years. They've done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
And they have really gotten this far, and like we were discussing in our other review, I'm glad it was worth the wait because this was definitely everything that blew my mind.
Yeah.
So to pretty much go into more detail, the film actually starts off literally with Thanos causing some shit because it starts off where pretty much
in the Ragnarok.
If you remember, at the end of Thor Ragnarok, Thor and Loki, after they leave Asgard, they're in space in the ship with all the other Asgardians, and they get captured by a ship that's on there, and then basically that ship turns out to be where Thanos is at. And so now we see that Thanos and his crew are bringing Loki and Thor to there, and that's when all pretty much hell starts to break loose, where you get to see pretty much half of the Asgardians pretty much dead already.
Yeah, pretty much all of them actually, and then it's left with what's his face?
Loki?
No, the other dude. That's another one.
Thor?
The actor. Black guy.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba's character, and he's pretty much the only one other than Loki and him that are alive. Yeah. Everybody else is dead. They've been torn apart, so.
Yeah, and so that's when, you see in the trailer, you see...
and Hulk comes in.
We forgot, Hulk's also in it, where he's actually in his form. Well, he starts to turn green. Well, actually, it builds up like this. Loki is forced to give Thanos what he needs because he's about to kill fucking Thor right there. He has
he's
damage
burning and he's burning with this thing on his thumb, but he's crushing his head too.
I'm like, and he's getting fucking serious. I'm like, damn, we're already a good start right here.
Yep.
And that's when you see in the trailer where Loki gives the Tesseract to him, and that's when afterwards we get to see that big ass fucking fight go down where you see Hulk and Thanos go hand to hand. Now, I wasn't paying attention to this because I had to answer a text.
I'll tell you this part. Man, he fucks Hulk up bad. A lot of Bane type things, if you remember Dark Knight Rises. Man, he power drives his head and drills him.
Damn.
And takes his head and went boom right in his knee and just threw him like he's knocked the hell out and everything. Hulk, man, he got fucking destroyed.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. And then pretty much afterwards, he ends up
losing his power. Well, Idris Elba, just because
he has the teleport.
Thanos was about to kill him, and he's about to finish him off, Hulk off, and Idris Elba knows that more likely everybody's going to die on the ship, so he takes his little powers and he takes Thor Hulk and shoots him back to Earth.
Yeah. And then that's when we get that very emotional scene.
Because he knows Hulk's going to go and tell everybody to prepare. So he's using it as a message to the Avengers to let them know.
Yeah, and then we get that very emotional scene where we see him get killed afterwards.
Loki.
When Idris Elba dies.
Oh, yeah, he gets stabbed through the chest.
And then we get to see Loki. I kind of predicted this part because I had a feeling they were going to do something with this. Knowing Loki, who's the god of mischief, he tries to trick Thanos thinking that he's going to join his side and everything, saying, go ahead and kill my brother, I don't care. Yeah. He's like, I'll join you, and you needed someone who can help you. Well, that's when he's about to use that knife and try to stab Thanos, and that's when fucking Thanos just crushes his neck.
Yeah. He's like, you'll never be a god, and then...
Yep, he just crushed him right there. And I was like...
And you can hear Thor screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, damn. Well, I mean, I kind of knew that was going to happen, but it was pretty bad that they killed Loki, It's pretty strong emotion, especially from Thor.
Yeah.
And then, basically, Thor ends up having basically exploding because he gets the stone from the Tesseract, and that causes destruction from that entire place.
Yeah, and Thor's pretty much floating, kind of like remind me of fucking Princess Leia
In space, yeah.
Space. He's just sitting there floating because of the ship that Thor's on. He pretty much, whenever Thanos is done with all that, they got what they wanted. They pretty much Thanos does one of his little stones and pretty much evaporates the ship and kills everybody on. And Thor is pretty much floating around
space,
half dead.
Yeah. Yep. Which we'll get to later, but that's pretty much, it starts out pretty good with that.
Yeah.
And then we get it to where we see Tony Stark is now actually married to Pepper from the other films. And he gets called by Doctor Strange, and he tells him about how Thanos is coming and everything, and he has to get ready. And so that's when we get into that scene where basically he learns about Thanos and all that, and then all that destruction's coming, and he tries to get, Bruce Banner comes along too and tries to help, but he can't turn into the Hulk because since he's come to Earth, he lost his powers basically.
And the thing behind that is Hulk has never been embarrassed before, and it's to say that Hulk doesn't want to come out in Bruce Banner anymore because he's scared of Thanos.
Yeah.
And he's so afraid. He's so petrified of Thanos, he doesn't want to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually enjoy that because it's very risky for the character.
And it's funny because there's something else that just suddenly dawned on me when we talk about this movie. So you get the fighting scene where the Dark Order starts coming out. That's what they are.
Okay,
that's the Dark
that's
Order.
The name, yeah.
Yeah, the people that pretty much are henchmen of Thanos.
Yeah.
And it's like this one Crypt Keeper
looking dude, yeah. Either that or he looks like
the girl one too,
Yeah.
and then this big motherfucker too.
Yeah.
It's like 50 foot high. And what I was trying to say, what dawned on me is Doctor Strange partner. That one dude. The Asian dude.
Wong.
I noticed. I didn't mention this in the spoiler-free review. He's not in it. After
Yeah,
that.
I noticed what happened to him because he can also do stuff that Doctor Strange does. I was like,
maybe he's the one that has the time.
Possibly.
Maybe I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we'll get to it later because we will have to. There's a big reveal. But I was like, yeah, where the hell did he go? But anyway,
has it. Okay.
Yeah. So there's him, and then. Basically the rest, we also get other characters coming into play. We get Spider-Man coming into play afterwards where he's helping Iron Man and everything.
When he sees the ring.
Now, I want you to remember this because keep in mind, this is when Peter Parker is still on a school bus and he's still in high school. We'll get to this later, but this comes into a factor later on.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's on there on his way and doing everything, and then he gets called into action, and now, Tony Stark finds out of what's happening and everything, and he decides to go into space where the ship is at.
Well,
because after the fight, he ends up getting taken, or Doctor Strange ends up getting taken.
Yeah, by that Dark Order guy, the Crypt Keeper one.
Yeah, and so they have to go up there, while at the same time, it also deals with other things going on, including Vision and Scarlet Witch are doing their thing, and they have to...
They're in, like,
they're like Scotland. Yeah, Scotland. Somewhere, and they're having to... basically, they're doing timeout from the Avengers and everything because they're trying to keep a low end, and then they get attacked by the same group trying to look for them because they're looking for the stone, because it comes into play because Vision has a stone inside of him. Yeah, basically,
and that came out of nowhere, kind of made me jump a little bit whenever they stabbed that little thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
through his chest.
Yeah, I was worried
but
for
he
him.
was still all right. But then Scarlet Witch and Vision are trying to fight off and trying to escape at the same time. They're getting overwhelmed until Captain America and Black Widow and who else? Hulk.
No, not Hulk.
Not Hulk. But the Hulk one.
Falcon.
Falcon, was it just them three?
Yeah, it was just them three. No, Rhodey wasn't with them yet.
Yeah.
It was when
So it was them three came in to save the day. They joined forces with Scarlet and Witch and all them, or Vision, and pretty much led to... Do they find out about Thanos yet?
Yeah.
Hulk
tells them. Yeah, they beat Bruce Banner and everything, and then basically they also run into Steve Rogers because Steve Rogers comes back after a hiatus. He's got a beard now.
He's got a beard and he's got longer hair too.
Yeah,
yeah,
and he's got a different suit as well.
Yeah, it's like more black, like he hadn't cleaned in a while.
Yeah, and then while that's also happening, you also deal with another plot going on. This time,
this movie does have a lot of plots, but I'll tell you the good news is a lot of films fail at it. This film actually it came back tenfold. So
yeah,
it comes out. It flows really well. A lot of people, I mean, 3, 4, 5 plots are going on in this film, and that's a risky fucking thing to do in a writing standpoint. 5 plots going on, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it's safe to say that they all flow perfect and they all come together. So.
Yeah, especially with that big ensemble cast as well.
And I'll tell you right now, Russo brothers, man, you guys, the writer you guys had, or if you guys wrote it, I can't remember. I'll tell you guys, a good, phenomenal job in writing, man.
Absolutely.
That was talent. That's talent right there.
It is
5 plots.
But it's also great that, while these are all going on too, we also start to slowly dive into the history of Thanos. Because before we get to that, remember when we said we saw that Thor was in space? Well, guess what comes to save them? The Guardians of the Galaxy. They're actually going through after their mission. I'm assuming
I love when they open, when they know they're
with
coming.
Their music.
With their fucking music.
With their classic rock. Yeah, I love that.
And you got a more adolescent, teenager version of Groot who's doing nothing but playing video games till the third act.
And then you got Rocket Raccoon being the captain now, pretty much.
The captain,
and you got Star-Lord, who's trying to still call the shots, and they end up
Drax,
finding, and then you got Mantis as well, and they basically find Thor in space, who's still alive apparently.
Well, if you know Guardians of the Galaxy, that they're kind of pretty much space police,
and
they get a call about a massive disaster happens, where they find Thor floating in space and his destruction of his ship and everything, and they bring him on board. I love the banter between him and Star-Lord because, you got Gamora who's kind of like thinking he's good looking and all that stuff, and everybody's giving him props by his body and how tough he is, and Star-Lord's getting jealous and shit. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. And I love the where it's basically, I was talking to you about it in the theater where I was saying, hey, look, it's the Battle of the Chris's, because it's Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pratt like trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
Where you got Chris Hemsworth, talking and everything, and then you got Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, who's trying to mimic him with his Australian accent.
Yeah. So when they bring up Thor up to par, get him back to his normal self, he starts telling them the story of Thanos. Yeah. And that's when the galaxy, because that Thanos has more been in Guardians type world.
Well, and he's only been briefly appeared in other films.
But he's more of a Guardians type villainish, because you got Gamora, who's the daughter,
and you got Nebula, who's the other daughter.
But she used to also work for Thanos for many years, so
that's what I'm saying. So and then you can tell that Gamora, she has such a grudge against Thanos that she'll do everything to try to stop him.
And I'll tell you right now, they actually show where she's a baby, where they tricked her whole planet into thinking things were going to be good, and why he's keeping her calm, because he ends up, picking her out of this group and talking to her, and he's pretty much, I don't know, he's fond of her or something. Yeah. And then you see in the background, they're like, all right, fire, and they kill everyone. Man.
Yeah. This actually, I love the way they actually show a lot of backstory with Thanos, because it shows a lot of the motivations are very clear, and you get what he's doing.
You know what I really appreciate about this movie, I want to see Thanos pure evil and all that stuff, but it also gives us another side of him,
a kind of deeper human type quality.
I don't know if I would go as far as saying I feel sorry for him, because he's so alone, filled to him. Maybe that's why he wanted, he wanted her as a daughter.
Yeah.
He has nobody. But you also feel like it's trying to make you believe that it shows so much into detail that he thinks what he's doing is right.
Yeah.
And helping people and helping the world by cleansing it of bad. He's playing God, so to speak, because in history of our universe, we're led to believe that Armageddon and dinosaurs dying and stuff, we're led to believe that some form of God is cleansing the earth and restarting stuff. Like dinosaurs used to roam the earth, they got wiped out. Humans are now on Earth, we might get wiped out.
Yeah.
So it's like Thanos is playing God.
Yeah.
So I mean I like a lot of detail they do, because Marvel is always perfect, but I love all their movies, but they've been criticized for developing their villains, I guess.
Yeah.
I've heard. To
especially in
me,
the
I
past.
don't really see it. I like all their films, but a lot of people's complaints do come from villain development. So
They do, especially with some of the earlier films.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it, but yeah.
But yeah, and then basically to go along with that, we also have some other things going on where we also get reintroduced to the Black Panthers Society, Wakanda, where we see Bucky's been there too. Because if you saw the end of Black Panther, Bucky ended up being taken care of by Wakandas.
And the Wakandas built him an arm, I think.
They brought him a new arm and everything. Yeah. And so he's getting healed. And so it's basically kind of like a scavenger hunt. They're trying to gather all the stones in order to... They're actually trying to destroy one of the stones from Vision, but they realized by destroying his stone, he could potentially die, basically. And the one stone that they eventually later try to do is the one Gamora knows about that she hid. And we'll get to this later, but basically, before that build up, she's still with the Guardians as they go along, and they try to take down Thanos.
They go to the Collectors.
They go to the Collectors Society called Nowhere Planet Universe. They end up going there, and they see that Thanos is already there, and he's gotten the Collector. And at first, I was kind of wondering, like, oh, is he going to kill the Collector? And it's... Okay, because he's basically trying to find out where the stone is at and everything, and then that's when you see the Guardians try to, get attacked.
Well, what it was Drax had, if you guys familiar with the Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos killed Drax's family and his people.
Yeah, so he wants revenge on him.
Wants revenge, and he doesn't want to follow orders. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill this bitch, and he makes quite a bit of noise, which it caught Thanos by guard, so it hurt him. So.
And then that's when you see that he puts that Collector inside that little box thing, and then you see them all trying to fight him and everything, and then you actually see Gamora actually kill Thanos, quotations, and it turns out to be a vision, basically a vision. His power where he can manipulate, apparently, and then that's where you see. At first, it threw me off. I was like, okay, because it shows him kill Drax and Mantis, like they're all crumbled and stuff, and then he has Gamora like at hold, and then Chris or Star-Lord's trying to kill him and everything. But
and you know what? You see Thanos, he's kind of a really soft-spoken villain and kind of when he talks to Gamora, like he really does love her.
Yeah, he does.
He's a very soft-spoken guy.
Yeah.
I expect it, I don't really dig in too deep with comics, but I do love the comics, and I always thought he was a mean dude, but this one they kind of like
they made it where they're trying to make it where he's very three-dimensional, where he'll get angry but only when necessary, basically. So that's why one of the things I really like about that. But and then he ends up taking Gamora there after Star-Lord ends up potentially trying to kill her, but it turned out to be a little bubble gun.
He takes her so he can get it's the Soul Stone he's looking for.
And they end up going to the planet called Valamir, I believe it's called, and we'll get to this later because it comes in play. It's this cameo that we talked about in our other review, but before we get to there, we also got to talk about how basically in this movie too, Spider-Man has a new suit. So when he goes to go up to where Iron Man's at, he's wearing a suit that allows him to have like these little tentacle thingies.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of like Doc Ock.
Yeah, basically I was like, hey man, don't you need to fight him first to get those?
Yeah, well he couldn't breathe in space, so they gave him that new suit.
So... Which I know some people have kind of criticized with that suit. It's like, man, why is he just using mechanical suits? But I can buy that because he's in space. If he was on Earth, okay, he shouldn't be wearing that because he needs to have organic web shooters, not fucking suit shooters or whatever it is. But anyway, that's cool that he got that. And also, I liked also what they do with how they're taking the chance of Thanos trying to basically cause devastation around other areas, such as, because basically the whole point is that if he gets all the stones, he can basically just snap his fingers like that, and it'll be over with.
Yes.
And not going to go into detail yet, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's pretty simple. They're all just trying to plan their battles and stuff like that. So really not a whole lot to go there. So to build up to pretty much a lot where I'm going with this, we end up getting to where they end up planning attacks in Wakanda and everywhere else, and that's when Thanos' army ends up going down there, and they start having their big battle. And I love this battle that take place because in the Wakanda battle, it reminds me. I'm just saying this in a good way. It reminded me a little bit of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
In that you kind of have a ground battle, and they have like the shields around them and stuff, and you got the enemies coming through and everything. Didn't that kind of give you a vibe like that?
Yeah, it did. Also, yeah. Continue.
But also, we have the stuff going on where, Star-Lord ends up actually encountering Tony Stark and crew at the planet where they're at the Titan planet, where Thanos' planet is, which I thought was cool because, you get to see some of the history surrounding him later. Where that comes into play.
Where it was actually a running society.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it was clean, yeah.
And then one of my favorite parts is the bantering back and forth between Star-Lord and Iron Man. And he's like, I like your plan, but except it sucks. So here's my plan.
Yeah, I do. A lot of people complained and said that the comedy didn't flow well. I thought it did.
Yeah, I thought it worked well.
Guardians are always going to have that great comedy, and I never once didn't like anything they didn't do in the comedy. I think that they hold really well.
Yeah, they really do. So I enjoyed that, and basically Tony Stark, who feels like he can really take down Thanos in this kind of situation, he wants to try to come up with his plan, but he's going to go along with Star-Lord's plan instead. So he's like, all right, we'll go with that. Now here's where I get to one of the biggest shocking parts of the film. So Thanos ends up taking Gamora to that planet we're talking about called Vladimir. They end up going there, and guess who shows up that we haven't seen in a movie in a long time?
Yep.
Red Skull. Red Skull actually makes an appearance in this.
Captain America, the first Avengers.
Yeah. Now, here was the only downside of this, because I've actually found this out later. Hugo Weaving actually didn't come back to voice him or play him. But they got a guy who actually looked like him and kind of sound like him, but it's not Hugo Weaving.
Yeah. I knew his voice seemed a little off.
Yeah, so they couldn't get Hugo Weaving to come back, but they still got a guy who looked and sounded like him.
So in this scene, we get into Thanos needing the Soul Stone, which we left off earlier about how we get to see Nebula and how he tortured Nebula right in front of Gamora, so Gamora told him where the stone is. That's why they ended up in this place.
Yeah.
So when they were going through, when Red Skull's talking to Thanos about how to get the Soul Stone, he says you have to sacrifice a person you absolutely love. Not fake love, like you absolutely cared about.
And that to me is great character development because it shows that Thanos does have a great emotional side to himself.
Yeah, he has a good side. Well, not really.
Not a good side, but a motive that he still has feelings.
Yeah, and you think that he may cowered in the scene and say, maybe I can get that stone later and I really don't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he said that he's turned it down before and it led into where things fucked up on his end, so he pretty much said, I can't let it happen again. And he tells Gamora, I'm sorry, and then he throws her to her death.
Yeah, and that was fucking sad.
Yeah,
it was like, sad. They killed Gamora.
Yeah, and they throw her to death, and he retrieves the Soul Stone.
Yeah. And then pretty much he ends up going to where the Tony Stark and all them are at, and that's when we have their first encounter with them. And at first things are going well because they're trying to get Thanos. They're trying to get the gauntlet off him because they feel like if they can get the gauntlet off him, that he can't have any more power.
Yeah,
well, that works for a while, but then come to find out, Star-Lord ends up getting mad because he later does find out that Gamora ended up dying.
Yeah, from Mantis, this is where they have Thanos the most caught where they need to beat his ass. And it's with Mantis jumping on him doing her little mind tricks. And pretty much he doesn't have all the stones to really fight good enough on this part.
Yeah.
But that's where fucking Star-Lord fucks it all up by punching him. And then that sends in... It's like Thanos, when he's at ease, he's weak. But when you piss him off, he gains like all the power he needs.
Oh yeah.
And boy, he gets fucking pissed. And this is where shit really goes downhill.
Oh yeah, and that's afterwards you see that they almost get the glove off, and then that's when gets all fucking angry and starts beating the shit out of him and all that. And he starts summoning like all these missiles and shit coming after him and everything. And all hell is about to break loose. And then going back to the other battles, we got the stuff going on still back in Wakanda where they're fighting those enemies on the ground and everything. They're fighting those like weird kind of like animals, things that run after them and stuff like that. And then we get to see some cool banter back and forth where Captain America is telling because that's at that point he also encountered Bucky again and they had a reunion and all that, and they also see that and here's another side thing, Thor is also doing his plot because he gets separated
with the Rocket and
Groot, yeah. And then they also encounter a guy who, at first, I when I looked at him, I was like, "Is that Hagrid?" And it's the Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones. He's this giant type of dude who's actually basically the maker of the weapons and stuff. For Asgard.
He makes all the powerful. And they find out he's the one who made the gauntlet. Yeah. He makes all the powerful weapons, and as you know, Thor has lost his hammer in Ragnarok. So, if you follow the comics, I guess that's the Shadow Axe is like a big deal that Thor gets way, way down the road, and that's what it was. And it's like 100 times more powerful than his hammer. And Peter helps him build it, but it comes at great cost because it can kill him. Making it. And Groot plays a big part here because he plays video games the whole movie. He's like pretty much just like, I'm busy. And stuff. But this is where he sacrifices a limb to get the axe because it needed a stick. So he ends up getting that, and then that's when they end up going back and transported to the battlefield, and that's when you see Thor get his powers back, and he starts like beating the shit out of all of them. And then they had that banter where Captain America's like, "I see you got a haircut." He's like, "Well, I see you grew my beard." I love that banter. So while that's going on, we go back to Titan, and this like Spider-Man, all of them, they're getting their asses handed to.
Thanos is just like so fucking strong,
man. And then he pretty much beats the shit out of all of them, and he ends up stabbing. Which shocked me, where he stabbed Iron Man through the chest.
And he was going one-on-one and everything.
Damn! And then this is where Iron Man is actually dying. His blood's pouring out of his mouth and everything. He's just minutes away from dying. And then we get Doctor Strange.
Where Doctor Strange has the time stones to where he can actually reverse time and things like that and see alternate things. Because he told Tony Stark that he only saw one possibility to pretty much defeat Thanos. We'll tell you about it here later on, but in order to pretty much take care of everything, he has to pretty much give the stone to Thanos.
Iron Man was pretty much on his deathbed, and he didn't want Tony Stark dying, so he said, if you give him a chance to live, I'll give you the time stone.
And so he ended up giving him to him, and that's when basically he puts the stone in, ends up leaving, and that's when
this is when he pretty much had them all but one.
He had
all of them but one more.
Visions, So he ends up going back to Wakanda, and then basically, he basically ends up beating the shit out of everyone that was in front of him.
That was an epic scene. This is where when he gets that time stone, that's 5 out of 6, I think it is. 6 of them.
4 out of 5, I think.
4 or 5, whatever it is. This is when he's at this point. He's not even having to punch people. He's just like he's just doing so much fucking crazy shit. And there's pretty much all of the Avengers that are at Wakanda, even some of the Wakandas run at him. He's just fucking beating.
The closest one that almost got him was Captain America, because if you see in the trailer, there's that part where he's actually kind of bending his gauntlet and stuff like that. I was like, oh, he almost got him.
And damn, he beats the shit out of him. Captain America, man, he beat the fuck out of him.
And then he eventually gets it to where Scarlet Witch, who's been taking care of Vision and everything, she ends up
breaking it,
having to destroy the gauntlet, the stone out of Vision and everything to kill him. That works. However, because Thanos has the time stone, he ends up reversing time to where he was still alive. pulls it out of his head, and then he puts it in there. He's like,
now he has them all.
Now he has them all. He's like, I've got him now. Oh, we didn't talk about this earlier. Remember how we said that there was the chest burster in the other film, or in the other review, how there's the Hulkbuster?
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's Bruce Banner this time as it. And that was my only minor nitpick I had, was that when you see him with just the helmet off and everything, it did look a little off on the CGI. But yeah, that was actually funny that they had Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster.
Yeah, but I get the CGI
Yeah,
part.
it looked a little weird.
It reminded me of off of Amazing
Spider-Man 2 with the Rhino.
Rhino, dude, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we have that battle taking place, and then basically Thanos ends up pretty much killing Vision by reversing the time stone and everything.
Yep.
And basically he kills him, and then that's when Thor tries to make... Now, this is a decision that I know a lot of people have griped about, but come on, I feel like the guy has pretty much lost everything. He didn't really know what he was capable of.
You gotta think that they're fighting a villain that they thought, this is just going to be an easy defeat, like all the other ones will eventually come together, and we got overpower them and stuff. And a lot of the people they end up underestimating Thanos, and I thought that was a good thing.
Yeah.
It's show. You got to think, this is the final boss. This isn't just Ultron or Loki or something, and there's going to be another one. Thanos is it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we have to keep having these happy beatings and making smart decisions and defeating, and then we all walk happily ever after.
Yeah.
That is not the case.
This film actually puts this risk in by basically having Thor attack Thanos with the axe and hits him in the chest. And then Thanos says that famous line, "You should have went for my head." And then that's when he goes...
And then everybody starts dying.
You start to see some of the most emotional parts of this entire franchise.
This is where the movie really gets me, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Black Panther feeling like he's going to die. He's like, he goes, let's go die. This ain't a good place to die here. And then he just goes away. You see Michonne, who, I forgot her character's name in this.
Yeah.
I call her Michonne from
Walking Dead.
But you see how devastated she is. And then you start seeing Star-Lord, you start seeing fucking everybody else.
And the most emotional for me was Spider-Man. Yeah, now, this came out of nowhere because I didn't expect him to fucking die.
Yeah, Groot was really kind of sad, too, because, man.
Well, I know, and him and Star-Lord.
Spider-Man really got me,
Yeah, Spider-Man was... And you see Tony Stark actually holding Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
He's like, and he's holding him and everything, and it's like... And then you could see the emotion right there in Tony Stark,
where he's about to really lose it. And Tony Stark is so injured. He is now lost. And we forgot to mention this. When he ends up getting in a fight with Thanos beats the shit out of Iron Man so bad he breaks his suit.
Yeah.
So he's stuck on Titan with no way of getting back. Nothing.
Yep.
He has nothing on him. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Then you have... I don't know if we mentioned it. No, we didn't.
Bucky
Doctor Strange
also ends up dying. He said, "See,
he goes, there was never a way of winning. Yeah,
this was the only way.
Yeah,
and then he dies. Yeah, and then you also see Bucky die too. I was like, no.
And then pretty much the universe is dying. So,
yeah, you see him die. You also see what's his name?
I love the devastation in
Falcon dies.
Yeah.
Just a lot of different ones. You also had
Star-Lord died.
Star-Lord, Drax, Mantis.
Everybody in Guardians died except for Rocket.
He's the only one. And then you also had who else was there? I'm trying to think.
Pretty much everybody. There was only a couple that was left.
Yeah.
You have Captain America, who was just beaten to a pulp.
And he still survives.
I didn't see Black Widow die either.
No, she was still around. And then you also got Scarlet Witch also dies with Vision afterwards.
Yeah, which Vision goes out, she's gonna go out. So I knew that.
Yeah,
but pretty much it ends in devastation. Everybody the universe is slowly decaying. Actual people, like regular people, are dying too.
And I enjoy this because this brings right here that it's kind of like, you know how movies tend to end on cliffhangers to the point where there's no hope? Empire Strikes Back is an example. That film ended to where it was a downer, but it was meant to be that way. It meant to show evil can take over.
I don't understand why, because I do see complaints about, oh, why did it end so... No, they could have beat Thanos, and there's another movie with Thanos. They're letting us know that Thanos is so powerful, we're going to get multiple movies with him.
Yeah.
And that's what it needs to be. I don't understand why we have to have the same ending, the happy. I don't understand.
They defeat evil.
I will say right now, if it did do where Thanos dies and the movie's over, that movie would have been a lot worse.
Yeah. But also, it ends basically where Thanos is in a different area, so to speak. He wakes up, and he also there's that very emotional scene too, where he sees Gamora as a daughter, as a child again, and he sees her and he says, "Is it you, daughter?" And
she basically said, "Was it worth it?" and all that, and he goes, "Yeah." And it should go. He's mentioned earlier. Every time he destroys universes, he goes and watches the sunset and all that, and it happens at the end.
Yeah. And then he has that big smile on his face, and he's like, and basically it also ends where pretty much like Tony Stark and everyone are all at a loss their thing, and they recognize they've been defeated.
Yep.
And so and then also this is a big thing in the post-credit scene. We get it to where Nick Fury and Maria Hill come back, and they're on their way, and they start seeing the stuff that's happening in New York and everything.
Where everybody's dying.
And everybody's dying, and they slowly start to notice themselves like, oh, shit, and everything. And then you start to... Now, this is... I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it kind of made me smirk a little bit, but it is still fucked up. Nick Fury is also deteriorating and pretty much going, like, non-existing. And as he's slowly deteriorating, you get to hear... almost Samuel Jackson say, "Mother
of fuck." But he was making a call right before he fully went gone. He was dead, and it was a call to Captain Marvel.
Which will lead into the next Marvel film. Now that really makes me question, what she's going to be like, because from what I heard, the next film with her, she's been around since the 90s, so she's been around for a long time.
Technically, not being an actual Avenger at this time, she technically would be the second oldest.
Pretty much, besides Captain America.
Yeah.
So, her story will be a prequel dealing with her.
Yep.
And, that's pretty much it. It ends with pretty much no hope.
No hope. It's done. It's all lost.
Yep.
And Thanos won.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now,
and I love that.
I love that ending, man.
Risk, man. And I'll tell you right now, I've never seen a superhero film where so many main characters died all at once. Like this movie, people wouldn't stop dying, and I love that. It was so fucking vulnerable, man. The emotions, you just couldn't keep the fuck up.
I know, man. I haven't felt this emotional in a superhero film probably since Logan.
And Logan only did like 2 people. This one kept doing it.
Yeah.
Imagine 15 or 14 or 10 or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. So this film really touched me on so many levels. It was outstanding from start to finish.
Oh my God,
had everything going for it. Not only were the action scenes phenomenal like they always are, but it keeps you in the vibe because you care so much for these characters. Yeah. You don't want them to go. You're sticking with them the whole time.
Yeah, you gotta have been concurrent with your Marvel to feel the emotions. When you do, man, you're talking about 18 films invested, and that really hits you.
Yeah.
It really does.
It really does. And I can't wait for the next one they're coming out. Because the next ones they're coming out with are Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, by this logic, we can pretty much get that the rest of them are going to be prequels.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Because I did see that Ant-Man and the Wasp is taking place like shortly after Civil War and everything. So, it'll be around the time, like shortly before this film.
Yeah.
But the question for Spider-Man can remain a mystery, because I'm like, okay, so were we led to believe that all the stuff Spider-Man's doing is before Avengers?
Yeah. I'm going to assume he gets resurrected because he's got 3 more films of his.
Yeah. I did hear actually what they're doing is they're keeping him every year. Every year he's working his way in high school. So he'll be a junior in the first one, or a sophomore in the first one, junior in the second one, and then a senior in the third one. So I think they're doing all that to build up to this movie.
Okay.
So that was probably what it is. But anyway, can't wait to see those. But overall, this movie was everything that we have been watching for 10 years, anticipated for, and they blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yes, man. It's like, I'm going to tell you right now, it's the best Marvel
Yeah, I think
in the
for now,
universe. It's maybe tied with Civil War,
yeah.
maybe, but it's still like possibly my favorite. I will say
it's
that
definitely my top 3.
Yeah, and it'd be in my top 3, 4, 5-ish of superhero films of all time.
Fair enough. Well, and once
it's a
again, phenomenal grade
on Film Freaks meter for me
as well. It's a phenomenal grade on my Film Freaks meter. I highly recommend it. And for those of you who have seen also in Avengers Infinity War, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching our spoiler discussion of the film. If you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel. Check out some of our other reviews here. And be looking forward to some of our reviews coming in the future soon, as we are now resuming our reviews coming up. So we'll see you guys here next time, and catch you later.
Later.
Catch you later. Catch you